But the most important point is that after that, according to chess.com, I've never cheated. And, there are so many other players who have made mistakes as a kid. I would hope that my childhood mistakes should not define my entire life.
So you all probably know about the rivalry that's been going on after Magnus Carlsen claimed that Hans Niemann was cheating.
Strongly considered withdrawing prior to the event. I ultimately chose to play. I believe that Niemann has cheated more, and more recently than he has publicly admitted.
Well, they finally got to play each other for the first time since the cheating scandal made headlines in 2022.
My vengeance will be victory on the chessboard.
Who will triumph in this incredible showdown?
I'll probably win without too many issues.
All eyes are on Paris.
After that, Niemann had filed an $100 million defamation lawsuit against Chess.com, Carlsen, and popular grandmaster and streamer Hikaru Nakamura, but a judge dismissed it in June of last year. And it seems that the pair was still kind of clashing even before their matchup.
In that sense, even though it's a matchup I certainly didn't want.
With Carlsen saying he would have rather played a different opponent, and Niemann, quote, saying that Carlsen looked broken and mentally destroyed. In the end, Carlsen defeated Niemann 17.5 to 12.5 in their semifinal at the 2024 Speed Chess Championship in Paris. And it seems that the match was affected by a few technological issues.
What a time for this to happen. The match is over, just under 3 minutes remaining, and the players just want to get this done with.
And I'll actually show you one of the games that was affected by it. It's not on chess.com right now because they reset the game, but I'll still show it. So in the past, Niemann says that he did cheat, quote, random games on chess.com, and as a younger player, he called it the single biggest mistake of his life. So in a 72-page report put together by chess.com in 2022, it was alleged that Niemann likely cheated in more than 100 online matches between July 2015 and August 2020, including several with prize money events. So it seems Niemann said he cheated in his past, but no longer is. I'm not sure what everyone's opinions are on this, as there are a few interesting things that were said after his interviews. You don't need to talk to me like I'm a child, etc. But honestly, in my opinion, it's weird that he's the same age as me. We're both 21, so maybe he's straight. He's technically still kind of a teenager, and he hasn't had the same life experience as most adults would have, as he's kind of been shoved into the front and center stage. So maybe it's understandable, the way he's acting due to that. But yeah, as he says, let the chess speak for itself.
Chess speaks for itself.
Is it something special doing this against Magnus, Hans?
So let's look at a few of their games. I found some great positional, I don't want to say positional positions, but it may have to be said because I already started the sentence. Okay, so here I'm going to play through the opening. Okay, normal development, right? So at this moment, Black played a6, and White has a very subtle way to break through and get a lot of control. So first of all, right, you might want to pause the video, take a look, and see what you would play. So e4 is the answer. And it looks like at first oh, I'm losing a pawn. Right, I don't want to lose a pawn, but the queen is just guarding too many things. And so once the queen goes, bishop takes, and you're like, all right, so thank you, Sophia. All of my central pawns are gone. And I've gotten something on the side, right? But the idea here is that you're trading off those central pawns for control of some very key squares. Look at that. No more rooks coming to d8. I would really like that. Right, okay, and you're like, okay, maybe, what if the knight attacks? Okay, bishop d4, and look at that. You're attacking, his bishop is kind of dead back there. So that's what should have been played. But instead, bishop f4, and Black instead got the chance to break through. And now our bishop is retreating. Okay, so that's one position. Let's look at another game. Oop. Okay, let's see. So I'm just going to play through the opening really quick. So, okay, already we've noticed the bishop is moving a lot, which is very interesting. Right? At that point, you're like, why did you move that bishop so many times just to give it up? It's kind of funny, right? But it's not really too big of a problem. So b3, and black castled here. And here, white is kind of struggling to figure out what to do. It seems knight e2 is maybe knight g3, right? So knight f4 is like the only places where it could go. And it's like, okay, why did you play b3, right? Usually a bishop goes to b2, but here it's blocked by pawns. So I want you to notice also that after rook c8, it seems all of black's pieces have kind of been developed. But look at these bishops, they're kind of funny looking. So white played a4, but there's another more positional idea, keeping in mind that black doesn't really have that many places to go. So let's say bishop d2 is played, right? And you're like, okay, so you developed a bishop, who cares? But there's an idea here. If after a4, queen c7 was played, right? Developing that queen finally. But what if after bishop d2, queen c7 was played? Now things are a little bit harder. Now you can develop your own rook, kick away the queen, right? And here it's just hard to find what to play. You can play rook e8, right? You can just put your pieces toward the center. Okay. White's got like knight f4 and other things. Even h4 ideas. It looks like you're losing a pawn, but what's the idea? Well, there's g3, and if the bishop goes back, that looks like a very nice way to attack. So there are a lot of ideas like that. So it seems like it's such a little thing, like why bishop d2, why not a4? But it's just the fact that it makes it so much harder to move. Okay, so like let's say, what if after bishop d2, one more thing? What if rook c6, right? And I'm like, okay, whatever. This is my idea. I'll put the optimum formation is like rook, queen, rook. All right, let me do that. Once again, though, after a4 now, the computer literally just recommends backwards moves and just shuffling your pieces around. It recommends stuff like bishop e8. It recommends stuff like knight c8. Like, it's just, especially in time trouble, it's very, very hard to find these sorts of moves. So, right, when you're playing your games, you should try to make sure it's as hard for your opponent to move as possible. And right, when you move that bishop out, you open places for the rook to move, and you're just controlling a lot of squares. You're not giving him any ideas, any options. Okay, now I'm going to fast forward a little bit. There's like a very, very nice endgame puzzle here. Okay, let's go back to a4 was played. Okay, normal stuff. Just trying to find out what to do, trying to stay alive in the speed trouble. Yeah, very long. Okay, so here it is. After knight takes a5, everything is equal here, but black makes a mistake. So I want you to pause the video for a moment and think, what would you do? So black played h5. Why is that so bad? Because now you allow knight c6. And now that everything is defended, right, knight is defending b3, this dark squared bishop can't take this, right? These pawns are just, right, and this knight is defending the next square. These pawns are just rolling up the board. And here, black just lost. You can kind of see I'm not going to go all the way through what happened. So let's go back to the h5. What should have happened? Knight c5, right? And now you're not allowing this knight to move anywhere. Now that you have enough time, you played knight c5. Let's say this pawn is pushed. Thank you for the pawn. And now it's so much harder to move the single pawn off the board, and you're controlling everything. And now just like maybe knight c6 and d3, right? So now it's just an equal game, but it's, once again, very hard to find this in time trouble. All right. Sorry. Okay. Here's the opening. So a3. e5. So this was sort of near the end. Magnus is kind of also trying to, put on a show. Let me play some fun openings, right? I know he was like way too far ahead at this point, right? Look at this. This is the bullet portion where it's 1 minute. All right, so I'm trading. And look at that. This is really funny. King is in the center. It was described as the Magnus special. Yeah, just because of how weird it is, right? Look at that. Your king, you just made sure that your king can't castle. But here, right, it's all equal, but a little bit of a mistake was made by Niemann here. So first of all, let's figure out what's going on. This king is hiding here. We've got 2 central pawns. What I'm saying is that the king is, right, ready to facilitate a rook over here, but we unfortunately do not have these connected. And it's a bit hard for, right, white to find moves, but f5 is good. But, right, Niemann made a mistake. So this is a really good example of just how having material doesn't always mean that you've won. So he took on knight takes e4, and, right, after knight takes h1, he's up, right? 2 points. So how should Magnus have kept the advantage here? There's like a slight difference between moves. This is just a sort of thing where it's like attacking versus defending. So let's say knight to e4, right? Look at that. Not only you're attacking this bishop, you're basically saying like go away, and if the bishop goes back here, oh, how nice. I can attack this rook. I love that. All my pieces are coming up, and I can defend the pawn, right, with bishop c4 at the end of all this, and I've just gotten so many tempi, sorry. All right, what if the bishop just goes to d6? All right, still bishop g5. You can take this first. And there's also just bishop g5 attacking right away isn't bad either, right? You're just kind of being annoying. You're forcing this rook to move. But at any time, basically, the idea is you can play bishop c4 to defend after just causing all that trouble. But Magnus played it right away. I just thought that there's so many of these games where they're just like little changes, and the whole game just crashes from +5 to -5, right, to back again because of all these little positional things. Right, so basically lesson to be learned. If you can attack, you totally should. Okay, so moving forward, same game. So basically it had kind of equalized here because of Magnus just like trying to defend here. But here, rook a6 was actually the mistake by Magnus. It was like totally equal here. So why is this so weird? Well, first of all, right, you're letting go of this f7 pawn. And it's just very critical. Like, let's say, like literally any other moves like g4, b4 could have been played, except removing this string attaching the bishop to f7. So now if knight a5 is played to attack this, okay, I just check, right? No problems, king moves away, b4, and then bye-bye knight. Yeah, but if rook e6, now knight a5 is a problem, because once you go back, they'll just take the pawn and just up a full piece, and there's just literally no pressure on black. So, right, no pawn being super annoying. So, yeah, and then got almost one more position. So I'm just going to skip to it around here. So here, queen takes, right, knight takes g5, and they were literally just, right, trading off pieces, just going super fast, right, it's bullet, whatever. But I thought that this was a really interesting position because it seems like white is holding everything together. But there's a move by black that's very nice and just kind of questions, are you really holding everything together? And it's very hard to find the correct response to d3, right? In a split moment, do you guys think you would be able to find this continuation? So Niemann did it. He castled. So, okay, what happens if I take this first of all? Fork. Do not want the fork. So what else? Okay, what if I just move away my piece from danger? Okay. D takes here, and it's... This knight is attacking B3. It's not super amazing. And it's just... Right, not great to have a pawn 1 square away from queening. And he's about to castle, which is kind of annoying. So you would probably try to trade everything, right? It might go something like that. Alright, so that was kind of like a very quick game. It was only, how many moves was that? Yeah, that one was literally 16 moves. Definitely one of the end games where Niemann was kind of getting a little frustrated, probably, and just trying to bang out as many games as possible. So this, at the end, the last game, there was a little malfunction. I saw that his face kind of, like, he was laughing at, like, an expression that Magnus made or something, and then he looks back and he sees that his mouse has, like, moved, or something like that. I guess it was a misclick, but he said something with the mouse speed was up. So, but this was the game. It was A3, C4, knight f6, D3, and he just blundered a knight. So obviously he was upset about that, but as it was, this game didn't really contribute to the total overall. There was no way to really catch up. So that score is 17.5, right, by Magnus, so it's a lot by comparison to that 12.5. But yeah, that was the last game. It was replayed though. But one thing I've noticed through watching this whole speed chess championship play out is that I guess chess people really like a little bit of drama. So it's been interesting to watch. Tell me your opinions below, and thank you.